Hello everyone, Treecks here, and welcome back to F0X. For the first time, our cup select screen actually looks a little bit different. Because of getting 6 crosses, 3 of them gotten on the standard 3 cups, on novice, and 3 crosses gotten on standard difficulty, we unlock the secret cup in this game. The Jack, Queen and King cup actually gets succeeded by the Joker cup, where even more tough tracks will be awaiting for us. So we're obviously going to play those next on novice, of course, because this cup we have not touched at all yet. Let's go see what the Joker cup can offer us. We start off with a track called Rainbow Road. And if you take a good look at the shape of it, it should look really familiar. The subname isn't Psychedelic Experience for nothing. But okay, besides that, it is pretty obvious we also unlocked another line of racers. And whenever talking about pros in F0X, this is actually a very important line, because 3 of the best machines in this game get unlocked at this point. However, I'm not going to use any of those yet, if you don't mind. I'm actually going to pick the Wonder Wasp, driven by John Tanaka. John Tanaka being a part of the Federation as well, just like Jody Summer. However, we are going to pick him first, here, on Rainbow Road. And pay attention, people, this track should look very familiar. Bye, guys! Always really love doing that at the first jump. Yeah, allow me to actually be a little bit silent at the beginning, because also the music is something I'd like to talk about. That should actually also sound very familiar. And I must address, this music is actually not part of the original F0X. This only gets added in this track in the expansion kit. If you play the regular F0X without the expansion kit, the sector music will be playing here. However, this Rainbow Road remix is actually a lot more cool, obviously. And in case I still need to state the obvious, this track is indeed modeled after the Mario Kart 64 Rainbow Road. Also, that they actually reference that in this game. By making the first track of the Joker Cup a remake of Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 64. And in the expansion kit, even complete with the remix of the music of that track. And I must say, it really sounds awesome in this game. Makes it an extra waste that Nintendo actually never released the expansion kit in the West. And that we now need to use commercial emulators in order to still play that expansion kit. Shame on you, Nintendo. But okay, let's go finish off this track. This first jump being the most cool part of this track, of course. However, unlike in Mario Kart 64, you can't actually jump automatically from that jump. You actually need to boost yourself over it. Or, like I did in the first 2 laps, actually fall off the track deliberately on the sides and then steer your way back onto the track. Also making it a jump. But whenever going on normal speeds, you actually can't jump there, so that's kind of unfortunate, because in Mario Kart 64 you do always automatically jump there. But anyway, that was a cool beginning when it comes to the Joker Cup. John Tanaka is successful in winning the first track. Besides the beginning, where I actually knocked a few people off the track, I did not see any other racers. For the challenge, we need to wait until later difficulties. Before moving on, let's go see who our victims were. The Skull, Kate Allen, Black Shadow, Dr. Stewart. Let's move on. Our second track is Devil's Forest 3, Mirror Road. And also the whole reason why I didn't want to play the DD1 Cup first, because as you can see, the numbering actually continues in this cup. The previous 2 Devil's Forest we did was fun and everything, but this one is actually named the 3rd one. And to give a little spoiler alert, the DD1 and DD2 Cups indeed continue numbering after the Joker Cup, so you definitely want to play the Joker Cup first. And there you go. He fell down. Poor Dr. Stewart. So, allow me to actually try to destroy Dr. Stewart every single track in this cup, because this time around I actually left a note on my nose and therefore I can't overlook it, saying that I actually need to destroy a racer every single track, getting that person at 0 points. It's finally going to happen. This time I won't forget. No. And I also need to remember to actually stay on the track myself. Yeah, that's what you get if you start playing on acceleration stats, slider stats. It's not a secret that I'm not very used to playing it that way. It is indeed the fastest way to play in this game. However, it's not my preferred way because I'm, in all honesty, not really that great at it. So I usually just end up killing myself a lot. But this track, in all honesty, is very suited for it. That's the whole reason why I'm still playing it that way. There's a couple of very good turns where you can really start sliding in a proper way. That's the whole reason why I still love doing it on this track. Which is a pretty good concept, in all honesty, the mirror road. The track made in such a way that the track actually mirrors itself, which looks really awesome, in all honesty. Don't really see that a whole lot besides this track, so... However, it does happen in F-Zero GX a little bit more. But the tracks actually get placed on top of each other and inverted, so it actually looks like a giant mirror. And I actually also made the track myself, making use of this concept. But more on the tracks I made myself in the course editor later. That's going to be extra content for this project. First, we're going to win Devil's Force 3. It was also the track that goes into the books as my first death in this project. But that was bound to happen at some point. Especially since the tracks actually become a lot more difficult from this point on. This is not an unlockable track for nothing. Here, things will start to get challenging. The next chapter in that is going to be Space Plant, which is going to combine a couple of earlier concepts. This is, in all honesty, my least favorite track in this cup, but also needs to be done. It is definitely not an easy track. Oh, killing heavy boys is not easy with a light vehicle like the Wonder Wasp. I can still see you blinking, Black Shadow. Oh, there he still goes. My punch wasn't enough to kill you in one hit. However, I did bring you very close to dying, so... One more touch from the walls and you still went. Even the heaviest machine in this game can be destroyed. Black Shadow is fun and everything, but I'm actually targeting another vehicle. After promising to do it a couple of times already, I finally want to try to get one vehicle at 0 points at the end of the Grand Prix. So Dr. Stewart, you also need to go. And luckily he stays at the front of the pack, making it easy to actually target him, so... Looks like Dr. Stewart was a good bet to actually try to do it with, this time around. Nothing personal against Dr. Stewart, but still. I need to target one vehicle in order to try to do this challenge. Hi Jack. Bye Jack. Poor guy. Yeah, that's what you get if you actually try to get too close to me. I tend to get aggressive. Let's go! This track is called Cylinder and High Jump. With the high... Oh. Couldn't keep up with me, guys. Yeah, this is comparable to Firefield, also a track where if you are too far ahead of the computer players, they will also start going faster in order to rubber band you. And that first jump in this track is actually also a place where the computer players aren't programmed to actually jump, so they actually start falling off. And it seems the cylinder is also a part where that can happen, because I saw more people falling that were already on the cylinder. So even though this is officially not a death track, more on death tracks later, it's actually a concept that can be exploited a lot more in the DD Cups. But this one is also partially a death track. Go too fast and the computer players will start falling. And speaking of death tracks, Sand Ocean 2 Wave Panic is actually a death track for me. Because I tend to play this track with full acceleration as well. And indeed, that usually does not end very well. But I'd still like to try. So, let's go. Let's see if we can find Dr. Stewart again in this mess. Wave Panic is not called Wave Panic for nothing. This track goes up and down a lot, with a lot of turns, so playing it on acceleration is something I usually can't resist here. However, it's also a track where it's very hard to actually keep your control. Staying away from the computer players and the walls. Something that's not easy here. No, get out of the way, Biorex. It's fun that you actually fell off the cylinder just now, but now you're driving in the way. Because I have you as my target. Golden Fox. And he's faster than me, obviously, especially when driving on acceleration. I can use the turns to get ahead of you. And smash you off the track for the 4th time. So, let's get rid of the wreckage as well. And let's go win this track without boosting. Just like in Silence 2, the other wave track, also a lot of turns. This is also a track where I can actually try to win it without boosting a single time. Works really well in these tracks where there's a lot of turns. Okay, one more lap. Jack Levin is actually rubber banding me right now. However, I don't really have to fear him because he's one of my set rivals. So he's going to fall back whenever approaching start-finish. That is something that always happens with the rubber band computers. As you can see over here, the moment the pit area and the start-finish actually comes into sight, then your set rivals, who usually start hovering around you like mosquitoes, they actually fall back at that part. There's probably the game's way of not trying to make these guys too unfair. It's already unfair enough that no matter how fast you go, they are always able to rubber band you. They will never actually beat you, because they will always fall behind a little bit the moment the finish approaches. So that is how these guys work. Oh, and obviously it does not apply to situations where you are behind the rubber band computers. Of course, then they won't do it. Next track is actually a track that also should look familiar, just like the first track we did. Port Town 2, Snake Road. And for this one you actually don't have to look very far, because this is indeed a remake of the original Port Town 2 from the first F-Zero, including how flat that track actually was in the first game. Awesome throwback to the first F-Zero game. Port Town 2 actually literally got copied into this game, also as Port Town 2. However, of course, F-Zero X being a completely different engine, this track does indeed feel completely different. It is that you know that this actually mimics the first Port Town 2. It mostly comes into play whenever looking at the map, but the track itself, you actually don't really feel like it's the same track. Because F-Zero X, of course, is a completely different game, working completely differently. But it is still a pretty fun throwback. And speaking of throwing, it's actually something we need to start doing with these people. And also killing my rifles, something I usually can't resist doing. Bye, Octoman. We've already seen you on the podium a couple of times, so we don't have to keep you alive for that reason. I always love it whenever people start flying in these narrow corridors. You'll see the check mark actually indicated where the closest computer player behind you is. You will actually see that the check mark also starts flying. It's all really funny to see. Bye, Stuart. Got you again. That is 5 out of 6. So let's go finish off this track. Move on to the final one. The most challenging track so far. Because we don't really have to talk about this track, don't we? We've already seen it in the previous game. Although it does work a little bit differently here in the 3D engine. The pit area is different, of course. And also this part, because here you do go up a little bit. Because unlike the original F-Zero, where you actually use a dash plate in order to do that jump, here you actually go upwards a little bit and just fall down. So as you can see, there are differences compared to the original Port Town 2. But when it comes to the map, the actual track layout, it is of course the same track. It is even also driven during night time, because that's also something that was the case in the original Port Town 2, of course. So that's a fun little side note. The track itself is not very difficult if you're experienced enough in this game. There's a lot of turns and a lot of narrow corridors that can make it a little bit challenging. But not for us. We know how to play F-Zero, so we keep ourselves busy with other means, like killing people. And Dr. Stewart is once again one of them, so he's still at 0 points. He's no matter what always going to end up in last place, because I saw 29th place already has over 100 points, so no matter what happens, Dr. Stewart is going to end in last place in this Grand Prix. However, there's still one more track to do. Big Hand, Deadly Curves is the finale of the normal F-Zero game. The final track in the regular F-Zero X is the most challenging one so far, modeled after a big hand, which you can already see on the track layout. And we are going to drive on it. It is a pretty nice idea, actually sculpting a track after a model, in this case a hand. It is something we're going to see in some of the DD Cups as well. So it's definitely a pretty fun idea to actually come up with a concept and then make the track layout based on that. But besides that, the track is of course very deadly. It is not called Deadly Curves for nothing, so you can expect to see a lot of challenging parts in this track, like this part over here, where we have ice in the middle and no guardrails. So dying here is pretty easy. Definitely be very careful whenever driving over the ice. Oh, that was a good one. Billy really started flying there. But usually, continuing about the story about these curves, I'm usually not... Oh, still counted. Apparently Blood Falcon fell off the track after the turn, and the game still considered it my push. But anyway, all this killing is actually distracting me from the story. Trying... Oh, let's not slip. Stay alive in this part. Oh, Jack. Now you deserve to actually also start flying. Oh, let's be careful here. This is not a track where you should be killing a whole lot. This track is not very inviting for it. I think all of my rubber band rifles actually want me dead now, so... Ah, there you are. Bye! That's also a fun way to actually try to kill your rifles. Speaking of which, there you go. But like I was trying to say, this is also a pretty fun way to try to kill your rifles. Hit them in such a way that they actually don't get destroyed by the punch itself, but they do get knocked off the track. So they actually start falling off intact. That's also something that always looks really hilarious. Doing a punch, the machine staying alive at first, but your punch actually still knocking them off the track, still giving you the star afterwards. Always really funny to do. But anyway, now that we're finally rid of all of these distractions, allow me to actually finish that final story. Like I was trying to say, these fingers, the turns in the fingers, they are supposed to be very challenging because of them being so tight and 180-degree turns. But whenever double tapping, they actually become very easy. Double tap, whenever making turns, is actually a very good way to destroy the difficulty of this track. Doing these turns with the double tap is actually a good way to go through these turns without having to brake, making this track very easy to actually get past. But anyway, we also made ourselves quite a mess as well going through this. A lot of people were knocked off the track, and some of them even in a pretty hilarious way. But anyway, after all of these promises early on in the project, here in part 5 of this project we finally have a computer player who ended the Grand Prix with 0 points. Knocked him off the track every single time. Dr. Stewart, you are a beast. But anyway, that was the Joker Cup, the unlockable cup in the regular game. Finally have seen it. And now that we have actually completed Novice on it, we are back on track, because all of the previous parts where I did the standard cups quickly, they were a little bit off course, if you know what I mean. Of course, we still needed to do the Novice of this cup and the ones of the expansion kit. However, I first wanted to play this cup, but for that it first needed to be unlocked. But here is Novice Joker Cup, played with John Tanaka. Like I said at the beginning, also a member of the Galactic Federation. But unlike Jody Summer, he is actually not a big shot in the Federation. Jody Summer actually is somebody in the Federation. John Tanaka is officially only a mechanic, who actually only fixes the machines. However, he does have a crush on Jody Summer, that's basically his story. And besides being a low member of the Federation because of just being a mechanic, he does know how machines work. So he created the Wonder Wasp and was still able to become Grand Prix champion. So, with John Tanaka out of the way, next time we are going to continue with a different machine But next time we are going to play the first expansion kit cup. With the Joker Cup out of the way, we are allowed to continue to what is officially the 5th cup in this game. Despite the expansion kit. Treecks out.